Next on Married People's Business.
An indecent proposal. When your partner is just too damn sexy.
Sometimes when you're in business, you meet clients that are attracted to you. This podcast is going to show you how to navigate those treacherous waters of partners, client attraction, and how to deal with the issues that arise.
Stay tuned.
We're back.
Yes, we are.
That is that sound, Married People's Business. And we're always here to try to give you some new, fresh content.
Yes.
And we got a doozy for you today.
Yes, we do.
Because this is something that's been on my mind for a long time. Something that has given me trouble.
Oh,
and I'm sure it's
no.
giving Shalise trouble.
Uh-huh.
And this title of this podcast is Indecent Proposal, when your partner is too damn sexy.
Woo-wee!
Yes, it's on fire. It's on fire. Because Shalise is on, because I'm the one I'm the sexiest one in this relationship.
You are the sexiest one. I'm sitting here looking at your chest and the shirt
you
and
see-
the arms.
You see
and,
that?
You know?
Okay, yeah. But let me give you an introduction. Married People's Business is a podcast that we have created. I'm Michael Tobert, and my partner is Shalise Tobert.
Hey.
And this podcast is intended to highlight married couples that are in business and collaborators, people that have come together to create something special in business and government and their civic duties. So we've interviewed mayors, we've interviewed people across all walks of life that have done great things in collaboration and partnership. So what we want to do is to highlight that journey, but also the point of this podcast is to talk about issues that come up with those collaborations and partnerships. So that's what we're going to do today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Indecent Proposal.
That movie has got to be, close to 30 years old, maybe?
Yeah, it is an old movie. And, some of the people that might be watching and listening to this podcast, some of the youngins probably don't remember that movie.
No, I want to say it was the early 90s with Demi Moore and was it Robert Redford that was in it?
Fine old Demi Moore, boy. I used to love me some Demi Moore, boy.
I don't even have anything else to say about that.
Oh, man. And she liked them young boys, too, boy. She
Well,
was with
then.
Ashton Kutcher and boy. So I was like, man, I might have had a shot with Demi, boy, back in the day. But I never saw her date a brother. It was like Ashton Kutcher and guys like that.
Well, she was married to Bruce Willis before Ashton because she was in her age range for a minute, but Go.
Yeah, she was. But that's because Bruce had them all because he was doing them Die Hard movies and everything.
Right. So but this movie is from like the early 90s maybe.
Yeah. So the premise of the movie was it Robert Redford?
I think it was Robert Redford. I'll have to Google that while you're talking about
So
it.
I think what happened in the movie, as I recall it, is Robert Redford was this rich guy. And he liked him some Demi Moore, like everybody in the world did around that time, because Demi was on fire.
Right. So
And he liked Demi Moore, and he provided Demi Moore with an indecent, quote, proposal.
yes.
And I believe it was $1 million offer to Demi Moore's husband in the movie.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson,
Yeah.
to spend a night with Demi Moore for one night.
$1 million.
$1 million. So
yeah.
boy, that discussion, that movie caused a lot of people to discuss, what is your wife or husband worth? Like, would you give $1 million for your spouse or for your wife or your husband just for one night? And that I remember when that movie came out, it caused a lot of controversy because it forced a lot of people to have some real tough discussions about the value that you put on marriage and the value you put on relationships.
Right. So I just Googled it real quick. It was from 1993. And her husband, Woody Harrelson, was his character was an architect. She was a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And Robert Redford, they met him in Vegas. They were gambling to win their mortgage back. They were having some financial issues.
Yes.
So here's that proposal. He offers them $1 million if he can sleep with her.
Yeah, so what we wanted to talk about, because this podcast is always geared at talking about collaborations and partnerships, and you when you're in business with your partner, with your spouse, you know, you get a lot of crazy things that come up in those relationships. And when you're not in business with your spouse, sometimes those things are hidden. You don't see it. But when you are like, I go to work with my wife every day because that's my partner, Tobert and Tobert. So those types of proposals and the flirtation that clients will provide to her and vice versa when someone is attracted to me or a client is attracted to me, it's kind of like out in the front because we're working together. And Shalise and I have both had experiences where we've had clients that have been attracted to us. And we're talking about big, you know, indecent proposals, you know, where, you know, you got a Hobson's choice to make. Like, do you tell this person, hey, you know, hey man, what you're saying, you know, you winking at me and doing all this stuff is inappropriate? Or do you keep the cash flowing in the firm? Do you allow that money to go? And you might be surprised. We got different views on this topic.
Securing the bag.
Securing the bag.
It's you know, there's some other elements to it too, because I think there's a bit of when you said kind of hidden when people are not working together, you know, it's not necessarily hidden as if you're trying to hide something, but you just don't have to experience because you don't see it. And sometimes you may see something that I don't see, that somebody's like flirting with me or trying to holler, and vice versa.
Yeah, so I think the scenario that is most commonplace is, and I can just tell you from my experience, where I've had a client that I was doing pretty good business with, and that client was attracted to me. And, you know, I knew good and well that I wasn't going to ever talk to the person. But, you know, what do you do when that person is flirting with you, but that person is $1 million client, where that person is providing a lot of income to the firm? And, you know, one of the things that I think sometimes as business people, the Hobson's choice that you're faced with is, how do you continue to balance? Because the reality is this, you know, I tell people this all the time, you know I married a bad chick, you know, my wife bad.
Well,
you know,
look at this.
She chocolate, you know, boy.
Oh, here we go.
I would have her stand up, but it's going to mess up our video. Let y'all see her frame. Let y'all see her little body, what she working with.
You know
but,
what?
you know, so I understand that comes
Am I blushing?
Yeah, you are blushing.
Okay.
That's all right.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
But, you know, to let y'all know what she working with, I would have her stand up, but I ain't going to do that to you. So, but the reality is this. I firmly believe that when you marry somebody like that looks nice, it kind of comes with the territory. You have to understand that there are going to be other people that are going to be attracted to her.
Right.
So in a business setting,
same thing.
I don't care. So if somebody likes her and thinks she looks nice and looking at her little booty or whatever, hey man, as long as she bring that check back, that's the only thing I care.
Wow.
Hey.
So this is kind of new to me, but not really, because we joked about it. But now I see you're serious.
It's about business, baby.
Whoa.
It's about securing the bag. I'm not Robert referring you. I'm not saying go sleep with the kid or the guy. But hey man, it is what it is. Like some people give you business for reasons you don't understand. So what do you do? So what do you do? How do you handle that situation? Which is the topic of this which is the reason we would decide to have this podcast, this discussion, because it's a lot of complicated issues there.
And in all seriousness, you know, there are some preferential treatment type situations.
Absolutely.
With clients that may prefer to do business with you because they may be attracted to you.
Okay.
Or the same thing with me. So if that's the case, and you know that, you know, hey, if Shalise goes to lunch and I know Mr. Smith is attracted to Shalise, we could probably get the deal done and not have no complications versus me, you know, you going along to lunch with Mr. Smith. No, I'm not acting on any of that. And I'm not putting myself out there that way either. I'm not, and that's the difference I think that people have to really understand. I'm not using my, I guess, womanly ways, to attract a client. Humans are humans. And if there's an attraction there, I'm not acting on anything that any client may be, signaling to me. But at the same time, I'm not putting myself out there like, oh, I have to use my body or whatever to get a client.
Well, I think that's the issue, though. And I think the reason I answered that, some people might have cringed when I said, hey, you got to get the money, and I care about my wife, but I understand business as well. And I understand her and I trust her. So if I know that she's not going to ever act on it, then I have nothing to worry about. So for me, my philosophy is always that, as long as that person is not putting her in harm's way, because you're not going to ever stop somebody from being able to voice, not necessarily voice, but maybe to express manly feelings or womanly feelings, because that's human. It's human to be attracted to people.
Right.
Now, the action, obviously, is when you might cross the line, and that's where it gets a little grayer, especially in corporate America and in business. So, like, if a person I know, a big business client of ours is attracted to you, and I know that that's a big part of our revenue stream here at the firm, and I send you out to that lunch, as long as he is not talking to you in suggestive ways or putting pressure on you to have sex or to be unfaithful, then he can look all he wants and, be attracted all he wants. But I think where it gets a little gray is when comments are made or suggestive behavior is taken, because now you're interfering with the marriage. And I think that's where it gets a little gray when you have married people in business. You like how I did that? Married people in business?
You're so clever. I'm not only with you for your sexy body, with your mind too. Look at you.
Okay.
So, but I think what you're getting at is one thing that I've mentioned to you before in our discussions. The person feeling uncomfortable. Me, if it were me, am I feeling uncomfortable around this potential business client? And when I say uncomfortable, is that person making comments that, hey, we can't have conversation without the person commenting on my body or something like that, then, I don't want to do business with anybody because that's not going to stop.
Right.
And so those are things that definitely have to be discussed. And it's not necessarily just with married people when you are partners, because this behavior is not going to stop just because you secure that client.
So we had a situation. Remember, we had a situation where a client, we met with that client. Of course, we're not going to say the client's name, but for confidentiality. But we had a meeting, and
it was a male client.
And that client basically said that he didn't want you to be any part in the deal. He
Right.
wanted me.
Right.
Which was kind of awkward.
That was.
But so
how
did you handle that? Because we talked about that, and we said, well, man, that's kind of odd, and we understood the situation, but we got a firm to run, and we had a business to operate. So how do you put the emotion aside and make the right business decision?
And that situation was not one of an attraction situation, so to kind of make it clear. That one was where I think in the meeting we actually kind of talked through it with the potential client, saying, you get our firm as a team. But
it was a sexist comment, though.
It was a very sexist comment.
Yeah, because it was more of sexism that kind of was played into it.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we discussed it, kind of told the client, you get the Tobin and Tolbert team, and then you and I talked about the preference of that client and how that client wanted you to work on things, which happens because clients get used to the style of one attorney over the other, and the consistency that comes with having one attorney work on things for that client with the other. But that was kind of shocking to me because I had not experienced that as directly as it happened. And so I think that, you sit down and you discuss, okay, well, is this client going to be unsatisfied if I have to work on something?
Right. Right. And you're talking about millions of dollars at stake
Exactly.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
So like you brought up, like we've had issues in the past where you have gotten on me about going to lunch with people because I'm a very friendly person.
Especially now in the Me Too age.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you handle that, like for the listeners and for the viewers, when you have a husband that you are in business with, that you understand that I got to go to lunch with people of the opposite sex that may be attracted to me.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate those waters?
It's first of all just being real. You got to be a secure person. If you're in a romantic relationship with your business partner, you got to be secure. And that's not always easy because, you look good in a suit. You look good in a t-shirt. You're an intelligent man. You're a professional man.
All right.
So like
Keep
you
going.
said earlier,
Keep going.
why would women not be attracted to you? I'm attracted to you.
She gonna get her something tonight.
Stop it!
She working on it. I told you I'm easy. You don't have to say all of that stuff. You don't have to say, I'm easy. You don't have to say all that stuff. You could just,
And I'm back. So, as you said, we're humans. And why would I not expect other women to be attracted to you? But at the same time, it's all about, recognizing that. And I know you're about business, but I know you're a friendly person and you're not going to hurt somebody's feelings and be cruel about it. And then sometimes, just honestly, men don't recognize that that's happening because you go in for the business meeting.
You ain't lying because, hey, man, I'm not having no affair. I told you, them things are expensive.
I know.
I'm not going to see the same movie twice.
Stop.
I ain't going to pay a second mortgage. You messing with my wealth creation.
This is really going differently.
But I had the same issue with you though, because
Right.
I know that there have been men that have been attracted to you in the business context, but I think it all comes down to a trust level that you have that is extra heightened when you are at work with your spouse. Because when you're not working with your spouse or a business partner with the person that you're with, you don't see it. So you hear the term work husband. I always trip about that. Work husband and work wife. And see that, I think that's all cute and dandy when people are talking about it because they are not there. They don't necessarily see the interaction. But I always thought that whole concept of a work wife and a work husband was very odd because it's almost like you're sanctioning your spouse or the person that you're with to have a relationship outside of yours.
I think that,
You know what I mean?
the profession that we're in, I don't know, I've never been in that type of setting where I worked with a man and that man was termed my work husband or whatever. But I think what happens is, people make friends and you work with somebody every day in and out. We take for granted that it's me and you.
Right. You my work wife.
Yeah. Literally. Boom.
I get to sleep with my work wife though.
Oh,
For real.
Can I get somebody with the sexual harassment claims here that happen? But I think that, I've never been in that type of setting, but I think what happens is, just like we talk here at our firm, we're with each other 8 hours a day with our staff and employees, and it's a family type environment. So you are with somebody, I would imagine this is how it goes, you work with somebody day in, day out, 8 hours a day, and you grow close, you talk about your families, but now when you start crossing the line of it being romantic, that's different. So are we talking about an attraction, or are we talking about, hey, I know this about, so-and-so, and bring this in, bring that in. I mean, and then I want to go back to something, the whole lunch things.
Right.
So the business lunches. I think that there is a certain level of respect that men will have and not ask me out to lunch because they don't want to disrespect you, even if they are attracted to me. I can't say that somebody has asked me out to lunch in a disrespectful manner to you. If they want to do business, maybe me and your husband can get together. We can talk about this, A, B, C, D. But I think the other way around is that when you are seeking business, whether it's a man or a woman, that women may take it differently.
I agree, and I think there's some ways that you can really protect yourself. And I know you and I have talked about this. When you are with, this just doesn't apply to married people, but this is just business etiquette, in my opinion, in terms of trying to keep down confusion in terms of signals that you may send when you're trying to make a business deal with somebody or trying to do business with somebody that finds you attractive, or it could go the other way that you might even find attractive, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that, for me, I'm all about business, so I try to structure my conversation and my communications outside of the office strictly around business. So there's certain signals like lunch, I think, is that's a business setting. Dinner is more intimate. So I don't necessarily, I can count on maybe one hand the times that I've actually taken a female client out to dinner. Usually it's not to get too technical in the weeds, but we do trial work. So when you have trials that go into the night, usually you're hungry and you want to get something to eat. So usually it's around that time is where I've taken female clients out to dinner, but normally I try to structure it around lunch. Yeah. And breakfast is even sometimes I think that might be a little intimate, breakfast.
It just depends on timing and what you do, because we've had, business breakfasts, we've had business dinners, so that's it just depends on your scheduling, your timing, because sometimes the evenings work better, because if we're in court back to back to back to back,
right,
I may literally get 30 minutes to eat,
Right.
So if an evening meeting is going to work better, then hey, meet me at 5:30, but I don't have to meet you at 7.
Right. Yeah, but people that are not in those industries, you can typically deal with what you have to deal with over lunch. It doesn't have to be dinner, and dinner it's sort of intimate.
But sometimes also dinner is a way to get to know a client better. That's right. In a more relaxed setting. So not necessarily in a flirtatious type of way, but if you're trying to get to learn the client. So one thing I would suggest is, if possible, all the business partners go to the dinner.
Yeah, that's a way to handle it as well, but sometimes you want to develop that rapport with that client in order to get more business, so you don't want to spook them. Yeah. So I think that there's certain parameters you can put in place. Like, I'm not saying my tips are, the end all be all, but this is what I've used in my toolbox over the years to, to stop people from trying to jump on all this sexy chocolate, because, see, I can't listen. Like, see, Shalise, she gets to wear like these skirts and show her legs and everything. But see, people don't know I got all this body under this. Like my shirt, y'all can't, a lot of times they can't see my shirt. You see, I will make a move, but I don't want YouTube to flag this.
What does your shirt say? It's not bragging if you can back it up.
It's not bragging if you can back it up.
That's what Muhammad Ali said.
Muhammad Ali. Yeah, but I think there are things that you could put in place, like lunch. And then another thing that I do is the conversation. Yeah. So, you talked about this. So, like, when I've had clients that I felt were attracted to me, the one thing that I do is always I bring it back to Shalise. So, like, if they're talking about, things that are intimate, then I'm like, well, yeah, my wife, my wife, I could cook. She, women always want to, I could cook a mean meal. And I'll be like, yeah, even if Shay can't cook it. Oh. I'll be like, my wife could cook that. You know what? She can't cook that. I'll be like, yeah, she could cook that rositi. What is the little fancy stuff?
I don't even know.
Yeah, my wife cooked the best rositi. I don't even know if that's a dish. But yeah, man, my wife cooked the best.
I don't know.
Whatever they say.
I'm sorry, something's going on. My contact, you made me laugh that time before, so now something's going on with my eyes. So I apologize for the viewers.
They can say all kinds of. I'll be like, man, whatever they say, I'll be like, yeah, my wife could cook that. She could cook that real well. But I always bring it back.
That's a very good strategy. And I think I talk about you without even consciously knowing I'm talking about you.
Oh,
because
for real?
we're friends.
Yeah,
I'll be like, me and Michael did blah, blah, blah. And so it's a natural part of my conversation in life. So if I'm telling you about who I am, I'm definitely talking about you.
Yeah, and I know me and you talk about this all the time because we work together and we've had these situations. But one of the worst things that you can do, if you know that a client or anybody's not just a client, this could be just a random person that is attracted to you, and you're in a business with your spouse or in a romantic relationship with a partner, the worst thing that you can do is appear that you're trying to keep your spouse a secret. And I think people do that a lot. I see that a lot like on social media, sometimes you don't even know if people are married or not because they don't even put their status and people trying to.
I'm married to you. Ain't no
Hey,
that.
yeah, you ain't because I don't want nobody in no DMs.
Look, everybody probably thought we was married before we was married.
Yeah, but that's I think sometimes there's a certain peacock element that you can give off, and when I'm saying peacock, I love the peacock bird because they're so proud and they spread their feathers, and that's a mating call when those feathers go up because they're trying to attract something. Mm-hmm. And I think that element happens in social media a lot, in terms of how you talk on social media, what you post, and just even the interactions that you have with people that might be interested in you, because people can sniff that out. If you're not talking about your spouse, and you're not talking about things that you do together, then people sense weakness in your relationship, and then they jump in, and the next thing you know, you're in an indecent proposal.
And I was going to bring it back and say, okay, so what happens when there is that, hey, if I'm not meeting with Michael, I don't know if we can do this deal. What do I do?
How much is the deal? How much is the deal?
The indecent proposal in 1993 was $1 million. So
no,
30 years ago,
we got to add
inflation. That's what I was going to say.
So
today,
now
we're talking about $30 million.
That's a $15 million deal today.
So I guess it's more so what would I do, because they're
let's talk about what you do.
Because apparently you're pimping me out. Good grief!
I'm joking, man.
Are you really? I don't know that you are joking. I don't even know. I don't even have anything to say. What would I do?
What I would say is, sir, how much is the deal first?
Stop it.
So that I can intelligently answer your question.
I am going to look at the camera and I'm going to tell you how I think I would handle this.
So what is the scenario?
So the scenario is, okay, multi-million-dollar client.
All right.
Whether it's business, a corporation or something, but the president of the company who makes the decision says, you know what, I think I need to have one last meeting with just Michael alone.
And this is a female.
This is a female president, the person who's
that look like Janet Jackson. Okay, we got to spice this up, Shay.
Well,
or look like Beyonce.
Whoever you want her to look like. But I thought we were talking about them being attracted to you, not you attracted to them.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, scratch that.
Because that's kind of in your fantasy baby mama team. So.
Okay, she looks like a regular person.
The president the person who has to make the decision is a female that's attracted to you, and they're like, okay, that we've given them our presentation. We come in, PowerPoint, boom, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. This is what Tolbert and Tolbert provides.
I have my Hoochie Daddy jeans. Okay, keep going.
Not your Hoochie Daddy jeans. They're shorts.
Shorts. Hoochie Daddy shorts. I don't Hoochie
but
Daddy
you got on your tailored suit because you look good. It's
okay.
framing your body, I come in with my business suit and I barely get some questions asked, but it's
keep going.
It's one more meeting. Let me talk. I think we can make our decision after I have one last meeting with just me and Michael. This is the president or the person who's making the decision.
And she's attracted to you.
And I know she's attracted to you.
And how do you know this?
Because
women know everything.
Thank you. That is recorded. You all Her
Female
is,
intuition.
it is female intuition. There
Okay.
are signs and signals, you know.
All
Just
right.
like you know when a dude is trying to holler. So, you know, so all of that happens, and then I am in the situation of saying, okay, how do I approach this? Because we want this client, but this client is attracted to my partner, my husband, and is basically saying she got to meet with him by herself in order to make a decision about the work that we can do for this company.
All right. So what would you do?
I honestly think that I would just say, you know what? Go ahead and meet with her because I'm trusting you. No, you are so extra. Just Hollywood.
You would pimp me out like that?
You going out to meet with her. You done already pimped me out
And
about 5
you
times.
you
in this
didn't
30
even know.
minutes.
You don't even know how much the deal is.
I said it's a multi-million-dollar client.
Man, that not be that much. That could be. What I need to know figures before you sell me up the river.
We're not, no.
How
Because,
much am I
look,
worth?
Look, you are going to go in there. You just said literally like 5 minutes ago, you keep conversation about business.
Okay, yeah, I sure do.
So I know how you are. So I am trusting you as not only my husband, but as my business partner to
All right.
get this done in the most appropriate way. And you can come back and be like, you know what, Shane? She was straight trying to holler, like she sat on the same side booth as me and blah, blah, blah. And this is not going to stop. I don't think this is the client for us. And you know, we are God-fearing people. You have discernment and wisdom.
That's right.
So I'm going to trust you and say, you know what? I know I don't need to be at the table for everything because we're in a partnership.
And if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was less than $1 million,
Well, I'm glad
I'll
to
be
hear, I'm
like,
glad to
you
hear
know
my
what?
worth is at least 7 figures.
I mean, like, if it was less than $1 million, I'd be like, how dare you? I dare
you
you.
know.
I dare you insult me that way and make that
I am
indecent
learning
proposal.
all of this.
Now, if it was over $1 million, then I'd be like, now, wait a minute. We gotta talk
Again,
about this.
I hear my value being at least 7 figures. So
Yeah, you're a priceless, baby. You're
that ain't what you just said.
I gave the people a range. They need to see.
That my value is at least 7 figures. That does not make me priceless. But go ahead.
If the shoe was on the other foot, for me as a man, I want to know exactly how aggressive this person is.
And I would definitely tell you because we've talked about how I would say if it's making me uncomfortable,
Right.
I'm coming to you.
Because they're safe. Like as a man, I can handle myself in a situation, but as a woman, I would have some major safety concerns. Is this guy making you uncomfortable? Is he being ultra aggressive? Because there's rape problems.
Right.
Not that men can be raped,
Right.
but we understand the psychology and the physical nature of rape. A lot of times it's domination, physical domination over the other person. So I can handle myself. You might not be able to handle yourself. So I think I would have to really know a little bit more about who this guy is and how bent is he on really, really getting you to be with him.
So the same scenario where it's one last meeting, but it's got to be with Shalice, and the person making the decision is a man.
Yeah, I think I would have to find out, do my research and find out is this guy have a history of, because most people that make indecent proposals, that's not the first time they've done it. They have a history of doing it. They have a reputation of doing it. So I would find out, well, is this gentleman a serial indecent proposaler?
Just make up 2 words.
I did make up, and hadn't even been in the honors program.
Leave us HPKs alone.
So
HPKs forever.
yeah, so
Wow.
that is honors program kid for the people not from the Midwest. There was this special unit.
Special unit. You make it seem like we the X-Men.
Yeah, that all the smart kids got in one class when we were in Gary, Indiana. It was called the honors program, just for the listeners.
Before that, it was the gifted and talented, and he's a hater.
So that's HPK.
If I wasn't an HPK, you wouldn't have never met me because I would not have been at Tolleson.
I don't know how I ended up with an HPK because I was in the regular classes.
Because we had health and safety together.
Oh yeah, that's right. So every now and then they'll let
The
us
electives
be
were
with
not.
the regular kids.
The electives were not honors program courses.
That's right. So
So
electives. What does that mean?
shut the front door.
I know what electives is. I'm just making the HPK joke. All right,
He is
whatever.
so extra.
But anyway, so I would find out what the history of this guy is. Is he crazy? Has he done this before? And if he has a history of doing this and he's aggressive, then there's no amount of money for me that anybody can give me that could put you in a situation where your safety's at risk.
What if I'm the first one and he has no history?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, literally, like,
That's a good question.
you know. So
That's
I think,
a really good question because I think it boils down to, for me, is I know my wife and I know that you're not going to entertain any foolishness anyway. So, hey, if he just going to gawk and look at you and, maybe make a sly comment here or there, but it's going to secure a client that could put us, light years ahead where we need to be financially as a firm, then honestly, I think, I might take that risk just because I understand that people are human.
it's,
And no, people are always going to be attracted to people, so you can't take that element out of business. Just because you put somebody in a business setting doesn't mean that their whole emotional, physical state of attraction is zapped away. It doesn't happen that way.
right. And that makes me go into thinking, okay, so if it's this one meeting, then now we start working for him and we start doing work for him. And now is the pressure continuously there? Does it get worse? How do you handle that? And that could spiral. Or if it's not reciprocal, the attraction is not reciprocal, will they take the work away?
Right. I mean, this
dicey.
is a dicey problem, and I think this is where I think what I would do is I probably would let you go if he has no history that I can figure out. I think I probably, because I trust you, I would let you go to that meeting to secure the client. But once you tell me what happened at that meeting, if it's ultra crazy and he's making very aggressive, indecent proposals, then we have a second decision to make. Okay, do we continue with this relationship? Or what you can do, the other thing that, we talked about lunches and meals, the other things that I think you can do with people and clients that, are attracted to you is to set guidelines and boundaries, just like you do in your regular life. So you tell people, hey, there's no way in the world I'm going to ever be with you. And this is all business. So unless you can accept that, then, if you can't accept that, then we can't do business. And then you put the ball in that person's court. So that's what I think we would do is once you come back after the lunch and tell me what happened and if it was bad and ultra aggressive, then I think we sit down with that client and outline parameters and boundaries and say, hey, this is where we are. This is where these are the terms and conditions upon which we're going to do your work and handle your business. And can you accept that? And if he says I can't, then I think we have to part ways because then that shows me that he's going to be a problem going forward. And frankly, those are clients you don't want anyway. That's
Absolutely.
just a headache or a problem waiting to happen. It's just the money is not worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I thought about though when you were talking about the safety issue,
Yes.
We're in Northwest Indiana. A lot of people know who we are, and So I think that if that were an issue, we definitely go to a restaurant where I know I would probably see some people.
That's another tip, I think.
Yeah.
So you talk about the parameters that you outline for the person.
Yeah.
What type of meal you eat with them. So lunch, dinner is probably too intimate. Breakfast is intimate. So the other point that you just made is where you meet the person. So location matters, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you suggest?
Like I promise you, every time we go to Asparagus in Maryville, we see somebody we know.
Okay.
So I could definitely probably go there for a business meeting with somebody that might be attracted to me and not feel like I'm in danger with safety. issues. Because somebody's going to come in and be like, I saw Shalice said da 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 da.
Right. So I think the point is that you want to meet that person in a public space.
Definitely.
Where people are going to be at that right. So I think that's a good tip. And I think the last tip that I probably would talk about is probably letting someone know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like girls have a buddy system.
Yep.
I don't think I do that with you a lot. I tell you, I'm like, Shay, I'm going, I'm going to be here. And I think you have to let people know where you are in case something happens.
Yeah, for sure.
That to me is a very good safety protocol that you could take when you're dealing with people.
Yeah. Because
people are crazy. You don't know what's going on, especially in this day and age.
Not just men, women are crazy too.
That's right. That's right.
They might do some crazy stuff and try to get you in a Lifetime movie.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. I learned some stuff from you today.
What did you learn?
That at least 7 figures has to be offered before you consider the indecent proposal.
Because I trust you. And I'm always trying to get the bag. You know me.
Below 7 figures, you ain't trusted me.
You know what? We gonna close on that one. Married People's Business, Indecent Proposal. We talked about it. We were about it. I learned a lot about my wife. She thinks that I'm just this money grubbing business partner that's willing to sell her up the river for an indecent proposal, which I'm not. I'm just always trying to keep the lights on, baby. That's all.
Oh, as always, God first, you all. Thank you for tuning in. You can find us obviously on our YouTube channel, Married People's Business, as well as other places where you can listen to the podcast: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts.
Take care.